My name is Mireille Miller-Young. I'm a professor in Feminist Studies at UCSB, and my work is on Black feminism and the politics of visual culture and sexual culture. And I'm so happy to be here with Yolonda Brinkley, who's the founder of Diversity in Han, and Wendy Eley Jackson, who's a colleague here, professor here at UCSB, and a filmmaker. Thank you so much for coming to watch this incredible series of short films, which included a film from Wendy. So I'm really excited I'll start with you, Wendy, to ask you more about the documentary you made, which was the first film in the series that we watched, called The Invitation. And I was really happy to see it because I'm hungry as a professor for any kind of historical documentary centering Black women. And to have footage and to have like them in their own voices narrating their lives, and to really focus on the kind of importance of thinking through intersectionality, the fact that they're women, that they're Black, that they're working people, and that in the process of creating community, you have to also fight racism. Right? So I wanted to ask you what you learned from the process of making that film. And also, as a UCSB professor, can you tell us, were there any UCSB connections to the filmmaking as well?
Absolutely. Animation was done by my student, Marcella Frisner. And I was so happy. Marcella was graduating last December when I first got this call to ask if I would do it. And we'll talk about how fast the turnaround was. But I called him and I said, there can't be any conflict of interest because I want to pay you. And I shared with him what the story was, and he said, no, I'd really be honored to do it. And he lowballed himself, and that was I don't know if it was me being the professor or the mom that said, you're so talented. You are worth.
This is the animator who did all those
really cool drawings. This is the animator that did all of that. And so I said, no, Marcella, let me introduce you to what the comma looks like.
All right.
Right? I believe you attend school, you're researching, you're learning, that when you come out, you're a filmmaker. And so, I want to make sure you get your just due, whether you've been doing this for a year or 10 years. You are of value. And
see how much we love you as professors. We love our students so much.
We do.
We'll
we
give
love
you
our
your
students.
first job if we can.
Here's what I learned about this in doing this. And although I know a lot about the organization, what I didn't know, it's the power of what two women with a vision can do. To go from a kitchen table to now 17,000 women. They are the puppet masters behind a lot of public policy making changes behind the scenes. So when we talk about community, we're not just talking about our zip codes. We're talking about our love for, unapologetically for our people, and more people benefit from that. But when you come together as friends and you have a vision, what that vision can do. And so I wanted to make sure that people could see who are their honorary links only because they didn't go through the same process, but they were asked to join. And it goes all the way up from, my dear friend Stacey Abrams.
Stacey Abrams, that was me cheering, sorry.
To our Vice President of the United States. And so these are amazing women from behind the scenes that are, all walks of life, as Simone Sanders mentioned, that have made huge differences.
Did you, by the way, get to interview any surprising people for this, or anything kind of interesting
Cory
happened
Booker,
in the
and
interview?
by the way, this was made during COVID.
Oh, wow.
So there were still mask mandates. There were, there was a lot. I had to go. One of the producers got sick. She couldn't come. And so I begged my husband, who's out there. Hi, sweetie. It's my husband, Maynard Jackson III. And I said, listen, I need you to produce with me. And so we took a skeleton crew. I'd worked with Henry Adebanejo, who was our DP. Henry had he's been nominated now for 2 Academy Awards. He did I Am Not Your Negro with Raoul Peck. And he had done Maynard, but he also had done Black Like Me. So Henry's been around. My dear friend Brian Chen, it's amazing what you can do. So for my students, I did this documentary in 10 weeks while I was teaching you.
Wow.
Flying.
That is amazing.
From start to finish, that was clearances, that was interviews, that was flying to, to DC, that was being on being COVID compliance. It was just a lot. And sometimes you're a writer director and you're for hire. I was for hire to get this done, and you had to be vetted. So I'm vetted by the U.S. Senate. I'm vetted by, there was one piece that you all didn't get a chance to see. It didn't make the film with President Obama, so vetted for that.
Wow.
He would have been my third president and a doc that I'd done. But it was a lot of work. I think I gained 20 pounds, and my husband loved me through it. And then we were able, I shared with Yolanda, hey, we just finished our doc, and she was just like, oh, I'd love to see it. And it was diversity, and Cannes was the first film festival that started, and now we've got about, I think it's a total of 18 laurels. So.
Fantastic.
Not bad.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Well, this is a perfect segue to Yolanda. We're so excited to learn about diversity in Cannes, that the fact that it exists, and it's interesting because Cannes didn't create it. You created it. And, I think this is a moment where the entertainment industry is getting much more pressure to respond to diversity. But you started this before that was popular. So could you talk a bit about, how did this come to be? How did you come to create this program? And what was the response when you started it?
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
Mireille, for the question. And I just want to add, not only did they not start it, they don't recognize it still to this day. So it's like, this is the Cannes Film Festival, and I'm set up right next to it, like right there, like on the porch, if you will. This is the festival, and I'm right on the porch. Right? And so even to this day, they don't recognize diversity in Cannes. I've had talks with them in the past 2 years, but it's very contentious, the conversation. But nevertheless,
okay,
yes.
we're going to hold that there. Okay, keep going.
Yes,
Put a
but
pin in it.
nevertheless, in 2009 was my first trip to the Cannes Film Festival. Despite knowing the language, knowing the city, as I studied abroad there as an undergrad, I still felt like an outsider. Had a video camera, walked up on all the people who looked like me, asked questions, what are you doing here? How do you get tickets to this? How do you get tickets to the screenings and the parties? No one knew anything. And so as a PR professional, I'm accustomed to figuring out how things work and how things operate, and the fact that I didn't know, that kind of bothered me. When I left, or as I'm leaving the festival, I'm like, maybe this is not the place for me. But then I decided that nobody decides what's the place for me. I decide for myself. And in 2010, Diversity in Cannes was born.
You see, you got the amen. That's right.
Yes.
You decide.
I did. And
how did you do it? How did you start?
So when I left, and then in 2010, it's funny because I wasn't sure what it would be. I have to give a shout out to a guy named Rashid Bahati, because in that first year he was doing something at Freak 360, and he was awarding an African delegation an award, and Danny Glover was there, but we kept moving around and we didn't have a set location. So when I was thinking about before there was a name, when I was thinking about a movement and initiative, I thought about having it be Blacks in Cannes, Diversity in Cannes. I went through several iterations of it. The year in 2010, I was waiting to figure, one, I didn't have a budget, so let's just start there. I didn't have any money. I was paying for it out of my own pocket, so I didn't have money to bring people to Cannes to participate. And so I tried to reach out to some Black filmmakers. Are you going to Cannes? Do you have any plans? And no one had any set plans. And it was, if my film gets into Cannes, then I'll go. And so the whole few months leading up to it, I couldn't get a concrete answer for anyone. So when they made the announcements for the official selections for all of the programs, which happens in May, So approximately 1 month before the festival starts, they make their announcements. And this was really before social media was active, but it wasn't as, prominent. What I did was when they made the announcements, I looked through, I combed through, and I found 2 filmmakers, Michael Rowe, he's an Australian filmmaker living in Mexico, and Felipe Bragantia, a Brazilian filmmaker, and they both said yes. Michael Rowe went on to win the Golden Camera Award, but they both said yes. So then I was like, oh, well, we're going to do diversity in Cannes, and it's going to be a cross-cultural symposium. So that's really
fantastic.
how it started. And I had a Native American moderator named Tracy Rector out of Seattle. And that's how it started. And we were in the Majestic Hotel with about 7 to 15 people in attendance during the first event.
Oh my God, well, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah, it was a beautiful venue, but there were about 15 people.
But you had so many challenges. Cannes was not participating. They weren't interested to hear
Well,
from you or facilitate.
I didn't even ask them at the onset. I didn't, because it wasn't really about them.
Yeah.
It was about figuring out or providing an intimate platform for these people who look like me or who wanted to expand their international network to be seen and heard on the ground in Cannes. Wow. So it wasn't necessarily about them. And today, till this day, it's still really not about them. Now it's about filmmakers from underrepresented groups telling stories specific to marginalized populations to expand their international network, learn the film business, and understand that there's a potential market for their films outside of their native land, outside or beyond the borders of their geographic borders, their self-imposed borders, any borders that they think exist. There's opportunities outside of that. So,
isn't that what festivals are kind of for? I mean, for those of us outside of the film industry, we've heard of these festivals and like Sundance and things, but it seems like festivals are crucial for filmmakers to get platformed in some way.
Especially those with film markets.
What does that mean
a
for
film
us?
market is where you do the business of film, where you're attempting to sell your films. There's sales agents, there's distributors on site.
Okay.
So Cannes has a film market attached to it. At Sundance, there's no official film market, but films are being sold on the ground there. So it's crucial. Then you learn the business. The more you come, the more you learn the business, the more you learn who the players are geographically and across the various regions of the world.
So it sounds like Cannes has been really slow to incorporate diversity, even now, in 2022.
In 2022, in 2020, I want to say, it was 2021, they reached out to me for the very first time.
Wow.
And they only reached out to me because, and I'm going to call it out, sorry, I'm going to
Go
call
ahead.
it out.
All right.
I like to be transparent in my efforts to help you understand not even just the trajectory.
Okay.
In 2021, they reached out because a guy from the Berlin Film Festival, the European film market, he had a conversation with them, and they were talking to him about diversity and inclusion. He was like, well, you can't talk about diversity and inclusion at Cannes without talking to Yolonda Brinkley. And so that's the only reason we had the conversation. I was very specific in my request. I said, don't just give them my information. Send an email. Copy all of us on it so I know they at least received it.
Okay.
And so I spoke with them. And even in 2021, they don't want to call it diversity and inclusion. They want to call it impact. And they have impact programming. And they want to talk about countries with little access. So the Eastern European blocs.
That's included in the impact.
And so, but if you drop a person from Slovenia in France, they're going to look like the people in France. Right? You only know once they start speaking or if you ask the questions, that's still the same thing. Like, I understand access, but if we're talking about impact, let's really talk about impact. And you're not going to talk to me about impact. You're going to talk to me about diversity and inclusion.
That's right.
if we're going to have a conversation.
That's right.
So that's kind of where we stand.
And it's heating up.
And I was invited to the Locarno Film Festival this year in Switzerland as a result of a panel that I was on at the UK Pavilion in Cannes this past May, and several of the representatives from the Cannes film market were there. So it was
And how did they treat
it was
you?
awesome.
Did they had to recognize how important you were?
They definitely recognized, me, and I introduced myself, and we had a little conversation. But
Okay.
now at this point, after making the video and doing the campaign about the Black women, because first of all, diversity in Cannes is not just about race. It's about all the underrepresented, marginalized people. So we're talking race, religion, sexual orientation.
Queer filmmakers.
Yes,
okay.
LGBTQ+, diversity of thought, age, and class. So
Okay.
we're talking about all those things. But in 75 years, they've had one Black woman in official competition. And it just stuck out to me this year. And then that's how Wendy and I kind of came up with the idea to do a celebration of Black women in film this year at the festival. I could take that number or any population. I could do Asian, I could do Latina, I can do physically disabled women. The issue remains, but the Black woman's, that number would stand out. I didn't have to do any research on that. It's
I don't
clear.
know of any other film festival that has such poor numbers for diversity and inclusion.
They all have poor numbers as far as
Yeah.
I'm concerned. Some do better than others.
Yeah, for example, Berlin or even Sundance is a bit better.
Does great. Toronto does better. But one in 75 years, I mean, we have Ama Asante.
Even the Oscars.
We have Uzan Palsy. We have, Emerging, Lena Waithe. We have
right.
Gina Prince Bythewood, and so there are women who are filmmakers who are Black. And, I just decided to take a stand this year and make it happen. But in making that video, I decided that my goal, while you want to dismantle the patriarchy, my goal is now not to fight the establishment. Like, I'm tired of trying to fight the establishment. The goal is to empower these filmmakers to make opportunities for themselves, even when it feels hopeless. The goal is to just power forward. And I can't keep bouncing up against a brick wall. And
so powerful.
Cannes is a brick wall for me.
It's their loss, but it infuriates me because we're still here in this place where Black people and people of color are the primary creators of culture in the world. And there's no stopping the way in which our culture gets exploited for profit, appropriated for profit, and used. But yet we can't be in front of our own creations. I wonder if you could share a bit too, Wendy, like, what's your frustration about? I see your face. But can you share,
I'm like,
let's
this is
share
being
a little bit
taped.
of your frustration. I know, this is on UCSB
I'm very aware
later.
of a hot mic and a hot camera.
Okay. As much as you can.
So change has to happen from the top.
Okay.
All right? And I understand that sometimes revelation should come from the top bottom because they get mad when revolution comes from the bottom up. Until, I'll give you an example, Oscar So White, which shut down the Golden Globes,
Right, there you go.
right?
That was around, what, 4 years ago?
4 years. 4 years. And now a network this year wouldn't even carry them. Our sisters and brothers over there haven't gotten that memo. So, but with a collective group together, those voices can be known, but there has to be a movement, and enough people need to sign on to make a real impact worldwide, because Cannes is a global festival. It's a destination point for filmmakers. So until those people that sit on those boards are made to probably feel very uncomfortable, you won't see change. And that's just the truth.
Yeah, with the Golden Globes, there was a lot of pressure on the Hollywood Foreign Press.
Absolutely.
For a lot of corrupt behavior, but also wheeling and dealing on the behalf of certain films, certain stars that were necessarily leaving people out, but also was corrupt. It
And I'm
sounds
not
like it's
saying
a
that-
similar situation.
I'm
in
not saying
film.
that doesn't happen to some of our bigger film festivals, right?
It's part of the business.
It's a part of the business, but the difference here is there are some brands, if you will, that understand the power of the dollar. And missing that and voicing collectively opposition to being mishandled, mistreated, and misrepresented, you're starting to see very slow, I call it a drip change. But the great thing about anything that drips into a bucket, as long as it doesn't have a hole in it, is that it will fill up. And at some point, at that spillover moment, that's when you see. It's not until sometimes threatened with annihilation, it's at the precipice of change that human nature is forced to evolve. And that's the same thing that has to happen with underrepresented filmmakers.
That's right. And who was it said that power concedes nothing without a demand, you know, right? It's interesting because I had my own experience. I had this really great idea for a film. I will tell you because I still have this idea. I'm gonna like retire from being a professor with my film idea one day, yeah. And but I pitched it to a producer friend of mine. This is, almost around the time that you were starting this film, and he was like, "I love you, Mireille, but like, haha, because we don't spend money on like Black films like that because they're not going to sell abroad." Like he made this whole argument about the only Black actor that will make money in Asia or Europe is Will Smith, which is kind of funny where Will Smith is right now. But aside from that, but I think that that was it. And then I remember I saw him when Black Panther came out, and I was like, "What was that about? Black films and actors can't sell again?" Didn't that film just kind of break the roof and the ceiling?
What Ryan Coogler was able to do with the backing of it. Let me say this: for films done by Black people, there is a concerted effort amongst some educational distributors to create community awareness and activism. So through churches and different communities and other organizations, they help to get that word out. And whoever that marketing arm, if you will, behind Black Panther, for another film that I did, the guy that did the key art, Art Sims, who also did the key art for Do the Right Thing and so on and so forth, but he had done Black Panther, and he was just like, it's amazing how many posters Marvel had me do because they wanted to be able to make sure they had that representation. Well, it was a beautiful film, and if you haven't seen The Woman King by Regina Prince Blythewood,
Yes.
it's an amazing film
It's
as
getting
well.
amazing reviews.
But there is an arm. There's got to be that marketing arm and that marketing push, and every film has that upward battle. But Ryan Coogler really turned Hollywood on its head. And to that point, and let me say this because I'm originally from Atlanta, they said the same thing to Tyler Perry. Oh, your films won't make any money. We're at $900 million later, $900 million that he owns his IP. Wow. He owns the largest production facility in the state of Georgia. And Georgia's the #1 place to do motion picture and television in the world. So don't say that what we can't do. It's just the vision, and to your point, Yolanda, is that you don't worry about, as Tyler Perry so eloquently said it, while you're out there trying to get a seat at the table in Hollywood, I'm gonna be in Atlanta making my own.
Wow.
Right?
And he did it on his
And he
own
did.
terms.
And he
So
did
this
it on his
sounds
own
of
terms.
like what you're
So it's
doing,
the same thing what she's doing.
Yolanda, because
Yeah, except
creating your own.
Except I had
You don't have the
zero,
$900
I had
million.
$0.
Yes.
And I'm still clawing my way through. And my business manager over there, Kelly Dow, told me one time, she said, well, if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. But I could not, she said that to me, but I could not let it go. I could not let it go. And 14 years later, we're still at it, just with a different approach, different set of goals. At one point, I wanted the can door to open, because even as I'm pitching the idea and seeking supporters, folks are like, well, who's been on the panel? Have you had any stars, any celebrities? And so you try to get things and people to validate your position. But as long as the filmmakers are still supporting diversity in Cannes, it doesn't matter who else supports. I am lucky and grateful to have the support of Academy Award winner Viola Davis's production company, Juvie Productions, as a sponsor. I don't know Ms. Davis, but the sponsorship comes from her husband, Julius Tennant, and the VP of Development, Kaylin Hunt. So I am excited and grateful for their support. But for the most part, the Diversity in Cannes movement was built by my funds initially, and then the funds of the filmmakers who submit their projects, and then personal friends who support me. And when I cry for money, they give it to me.
Can you teach me how to cry like that?
Listen, my friends, they have no interest in the Cannes Film Festival. They don't even know where the Cannes Film Festival is. But if I say, hey, can you go watch these films? I'm having an online screening, and I'm about to launch a campaign because we're producing our first short film within the next couple of months. And I'm having 100 people times $100. And I have a list of about 250 people that I think will give me $100. So we're going to see how that works.
Listen,
We're going to see how that works.
fundraising is not for the faint at heart.
No.
In the words of my father-in-law, I'd rather sell pencils
Yes.
than to raise funding. But let me say this to you, and this is, I really do mean this from the heart. There's a quote by a man by the name of Dr. Benjamin E. Mays, who was the president of Morehouse College, and when at the time that Martin Luther King Jr. was there, and he says, it must be born in the mind that tragedy does not lie in not reaching your goal. The tragedy lies in having no goal to reach. Not failure, but low aim is sin.
Yeah.
You keep pushing those.
Thank you, ma'am.
Aww.
Thank you.
Yes. It really is impressive that you listened to that inner voice and pursued it, and we're here 12 years later, going on 13 about. Are you already planning for next spring?
I am. I'm always planning for next spring. Submissions are open for the Diversity in Cannes Short Film Showcase now, and I'm actually in conversation with the British Film Institute to do another celebration of Black women in film this year coming up. So we have to figure out what it looks like, but we are in conversations to have it. And I just have to shout out the British Film Institute because they hear me, and they keep having conversations with me, whether they like it or not, or whether they like the movement or not. They understand the point behind it, and they are open to the conversation. So I really appreciate those who are open to hearing it.
It seems that, you really have to find those kind of special supporters who understand the significance of independent film and the significance of people of color, Black people in particular as filmmakers, and the important voice they have, the important kind of insight. And, in watching the films tonight, I felt like each of them spoke to something that felt familiar, but that you don't normally see. And I love the fact that they were this short format, which kept it, kind of fresh. It seems very hard to even find that format, on streaming even. You would think there would be more short films.
So, there are certain networks now trying to buy into it. HBO Max has Netflix, but typically short films have had to find their own way for distribution, right? And it really doesn't matter who does it. New York OpDocs does a really good job for docs, and that's when you get to your point about the film markets. Every film festival doesn't have a market, So when you start thinking about the big ones, the Tellurides and the Sundance, and by the way, it's the most expensive film festival I've ever attended in my entire life. I could go to Disney World with 10 kids and not spend that kind of money. But
You were coming.
well, I was coming to Cannes, for those that don't know. So I was coming to Cannes, and the week before, my husband tested positive for COVID. Well, I've known my husband for 46 years. We get down like that. So if he got it, that means I was going to get it. I got it. We recovered, and the producers, the executive producers came.
But you missed the festival.
I
'cause
missed
of
the
COVID?
festival.
I was
I was
saying
out of a
the
ticket.
the price.
Oh, the price.
Yeah, the house. So you said you hadn't been to.
How much it
like,
cost?
It's a lot. I mean, well, I don't know what
Oh my God. So let's think about pounds
euro.
versus and euros.
Euros, yeah.
Well, see, we were going to go to London and then
Yeah.
come down. No, out of a lot of money. But we made up for it this summer. Just for 1 week, I found a way to spend it all.
You got to spend your money. But the price is prohibitive for people who are just experimental filmmaker students, working class folks, do it yourself. How would anybody be able to afford even to like show your film in a festival like this?
So having gone for the past 13, 14 years, it is doable. It is expensive, but you can do it for as little, not for as
What's
little.
little?
But you can do it for a couple thousand, maybe like 2,000.
So
You'd have to stay in Nice, but you could still do it.
So
You
the
have to
lower
stay
end,
in
you have to
Nice.
stay in Nice and then ride a bus if you
And
can
try-
get on the bus.
But if Cannes is your ultimate destination, then you find a way or you make one to get there, if that's your interest. Or you can do it for as much as you like. You can stay at the Majestic Hotel. You can fly first
That's just
class
too much.
across the waters. So
I
it
wanna
can
do
be
that.
done. It can be done.
How
I
much does
tell
that
people,
cost?
if you have the money and you'd like to attend, please do, because then you get an opportunity to meet people
Well,
that
let me say this. Because, see, I teach them. And I know what some of their wallets look like.
Yeah, but if they take the money, of course, if you're going to make a film, use the money to make a film. Don't come to Cannes if you're going to make a film. But if you're buying lattes every day, you're going to the Chick-fil-A line every day, save some of those coins and come to Cannes if you are trying to invest in your film, in your global film career. I think it's worth it. A lot of people say, well, I'm not going to come until I have something in
That's right. That's for
the
most people.
official festival. What's the likelihood that you're going to have, and I believe anything is possible. I believe anything is possible. But what's the likelihood that you're going to have something in a festival? So you mean to tell me you're going to miss out coming to the south of France, the Mediterranean as your backdrop, because they haven't picked your film? Like, they're not going to pick your film. But there's a whole business of film there. There's a whole entire film business with people, with thousands of people, tens of thousands of people outside of the patriarchy. Don't block your blessing waiting for the patriarchy to accept you. Now, you will be accepted. Some people will. Spike Lee, Bill Duke,
That one black woman.
yes, Maddie Dia, like, so you will be selected, but the likelihood is slim to none. So my point is, take it into your own hands. If you're interested in a global film career, then you're going to need to make some sacrifices. Just as an example, the High John film.
Yeah,
That's
how
a
did that go?
film directed by Jordan Pitt, and
Who was the actor?
he was also the actor and the director, as well as
Sindita.
Serena.
Sorry. It's on
The woman,
poster.
but that's a collaboration between a writer that I met in Atlanta, Jordan, who I met in Cannes years ago, and they work together based on their relationship with me. And so the more you expose yourself to different people and different organizations, like she's in Atlanta, Jordan's in the UK, they probably would have never met, right? For it not having been the connection. So you are making connections with people that you may not meet on a normal basis.
Festivals are, I've done a lot of film festivals. And festivals are definitely good that way. And to your point, you're right. Everybody has a vice. You sacrifice your vice. There's the 5 P's. Proper planning prevents poor performance. So you can't save money and go. But let me say this. For my filmmakers, if you know that you want to look at some of the festivals that you'd like to enter, look at what the entry fee is, as well as put that as a part of your budget, right? My mentor, Sam Pollard, does not go any place on his own dime. So he will either the festival has to bring him in, or there's marketing and promotional budget for that. But as a filmmaker, you're not just thinking about your film, the business of film, and that's where I suggest people attend the PGA conferences, which is open to even non-PGA. One of the things that they teach you is add that to your budget, especially as an independent filmmaker. Add that to your budget. And
Is PGA Producers Guild?
Producers Guild of Association. And there's a lot of information given out, whether you're PGA, DGA, SAG, all of those different things. But I can tell you, as a person that's worn a lot of hats, as a producer, the best way to do it is to put it as a part of your budget. The other film that I did that was for Netflix, Maynard, we had that built in. And what I did was I established relationships with brands, right? So I asked Delta, I need 10 round-trip tickets anywhere in the world for my director, myself, and 2 producers. But I negotiated all of these up front. At the same time, hey, while you're doing this, I also need, and this is under diversity and inclusion, I also need my film played on Delta Airlines. Delta Airlines is the largest domestic airline in the United States. So for 1 year, my first film, and Netflix had to wait.
It was on the TV thing?
It was on the TV thing on
cool.
Delta Airlines for an entire year, right? So there are different ways, and so now I'm trying to establish something with Delta. I have a deal with Participant Media by saying, let's talk about putting shorts onto Delta Airlines.
Yeah.
Curated for people of color, because it's not one group of people or diverse people flying your airline, right?
I would love that, because sometimes you don't want to watch a whole movie.
Well, it's the one time in your ADD,
Also,
it just has to relax and say, here's we are.
I experiment more. I watch more films than I wouldn't normally at home when I'm on the plane. That's perfect for shorts. I like that idea.
It's a perfect place to watch short films. You have a dedicated, for my family, we're flying back and forth to the East Coast, I spend time napping, sometimes looking out the window, and then I'm like, okay, what haven't I seen? And those people tend to pull, surprisingly enough, airlines are no longer curating blockbuster films. They're looking for the independent films. And so what I'm trying to create is a partnership between a studio, an impact studio, Participant Media, but a studio and an airline to
impact
say,
anymore.
we're not going to use impact. I'm throwing that away. Just a little. I just had to.
Thank you.
But to curate short films, right? So it doesn't have to be, and they're great films. I've seen films shot on an iPhone, right? That have been beautifully made, wonderfully done. But as a filmmaker, you have to get creative. But for one of the classes that I teach here, 106, I'm always telling them, okay, I need to talk to the producers, because here's where you need to add to your budget. You want to do film festivals? Here's what you need to add to that. Okay. You have to think your way through and be very creative about how you get your film marketed and out there.
I have one more question before we're going to open up to Q&A. And that question is, in a perfect world, just say you can have your dream come true, it's granted, fairy godmother. What would you want to happen to empower Black women in film, yourselves as included? Magic wand wishes.
Okay, so
go.
Unapologetically, I have this philosophy where I am in my life. I have more runway possibly behind me than in front of me. Well, it's the truth. I mean, numerically speaking, it's the truth. I got 25 summers. Well, I'm over 50. I have an AARP card. I would like to empower women through storytelling by that's why I'm here at UCSB. I love my students, and I want them to be the very, very best. And I even, how they can tell you, I give them probably a little too much access to me, because I do get text messages at 2, 3 o'clock when they're playing games over in Ivy. But I want to, you guys know it's true. But I want to teach them the power of storytelling. I had a situation, and this is a good example. My husband and I had optioned a New York Times bestseller for 3 years. And 50% of the book is about my husband's family. And it was optioned, the option was taken away from us and given to a different storyteller. And I was so upset, and it was about money. This particular person didn't need the money because they're on the billionaire list. But they wanted more money from us, and we just didn't have it at that time. And I was so upset, and that night, it was actually last year, it was at the, my showrunner for a show that I've done called Ella and Marilyn, Debbie Allen told, she was getting the governor's award, but later she would text me and say, you have a voice. Be very creative, but use that voice and make sure with that voice you empower other people. That's part of my purpose. My purpose is to empower not just my African American daughters, but all of my daughters, right? To teach them the power of their story. Do you have to write a script in English? No, but you do need to translate it for me.
That's right.
Right? And to give them that power and let them know that all things are possible, but you just can't give up. Everybody talks about being the first and the glass ceiling breaker, but nobody talks about the headache that person had to get to do it. I'm willing to have that headache to make sure that others that are behind me get that opportunity. And that's what I hope that they pay forward. Right?
That's beautiful. And you didn't even need a magic wand. You're already doing it. I love that. Yolanda?
So if I had a magic wand and I had a message for Black women, I think it would be just you are worthy, you are enough, and helping them see their value without waiting for validation, without waiting for permission. I would just help empower them to do what they do best. There's all kinds of things, Black Girl Magic, Win with Black Women, all those things are true. They are true indeed, and I just want us to understand our worth even when people don't see it. We are the mothers of many things, and you look back in history, and we still have the power to do great things and do them without validation. So that's really kind of where I am with it. Just as I struggle to build an initiative on the ground, sometimes I feel unworthy. Sometimes I feel as if nobody sees me. I sometimes feel invisible in these efforts. Yeah. But I just keep going because I think it's going to get greater later. So I hope that other women, and not just Black women. I am a Black woman, and I'm representing Black women right now. But any marginalized, underrepresented group, whatever group you belong to, you are worthy, you are worth it, you are enough, and take your power back.
My producer once told me validation is for parking.
Exactly.
So don't wait to be validated.
Don't wait to be validated. Gosh, I am hearing that. It's ringing true to me as well. So we're going to take questions.
My question is, so you said that there's only been one Black woman director who's been honored at the Cannes Festival, to my understanding?
In competition.
In competition, okay. So what number are we comparing that to? Because I understand that the festival has been going on for a very long time.
It's been one Black woman in competition in 75 years, in the 75-year history of the festival. And so just to understand the Cannes Film Festival, they have several components: the uncertain regard, the competition, special screenings, and then the films that are in competition, they're up for the prizes and what have you. But in competition, where they're selected to compete for the prizes and for the awards, there's only been one Black woman. Like I said, it's Maddie Diop in 2019.
And they have many categories within that competition?
No,
Or
there's,
is it just one?
so in the
competition for best
competition is just
director.
all the films.
Okay.
You know, and there's several awards. You know,
Yes.
actor, best
Actor,
director,
director.
a whole bunch of things, Golden
film.
Camera Award, etc. But then
see.
there's other sections
Okay.
for official selections.
Right, okay. So, but within the competition, within all those different kinds of categories, as far as you know, it's been,
No, it's not as
Wow.
far as I know, as far as the world
you know.
knows.
The world
There's been-
know.
There's been one.
This is the world, this is the
Yes.
expert right here, so.
Yes.
That's a pretty abysmal
Yeah.
statistic.
Hi.
Hey, Lola.
Hello. Thank you for being here. This is really exciting. I would like to know how you as black women have learned to claim your space when people are pushing against you, because people are constantly pushing against you. So.
Great. I've never been aggressive. I'm actually an introvert with extrovert tendencies. No, seriously, I'm not. I'm very much so that person. But I think what I realized is that as long as I was willing to live in the shadows, then no one would ever see me, right? Right now, I can tell you I have a documentary on Amazon. I've got one most watched in CBS history, Welcome to Pine Lake, streaming on Paramount Plus. And what I realized, I've been a voice to help others for so long that it took my family, primarily my husband, it's time for you to step into your own light and not be afraid of unapologetically. It's like you give, but you need to be honored for the things that you do. And in doing so, I sit at a round table with other women for me to influence and for those to influence me as well. But it's what I really didn't know that I needed until probably I was 47. So that would have been in 2017. I didn't know that I needed a mentor. I didn't know the power of what a mentor could do for me. And so my first big mentor is Academy Award nominee Sam Pollard, right? Sam Pollard is the most decorated African-American documentarian in the entire world, right? So he's got 74 documentaries, and he's at the end, most of the time he did this in the last 30 years, he was a tenured professor at NYU, right? But he's taught me things. He taught me how to think as a producer. He taught me how to think as a director. He's the one that told me, go back to school, get your MFA in screenwriting. You're a great storyteller. Right? I didn't know I needed that. And then the two black women in my life now mentoring me are Debbie Allen and Robin Roberts. They see me. So it's sometimes I understand that fame is a two-edged sword, and I don't let that move me. But it's taken me a long time because I've been shy, you know. So it's taken me a long time, and I think the shyness is really, if I'm honest, was fear. Fear of public failure. If you fail big. Fail big. And so I'm just not afraid anymore. And that's my biggest legacy will be you all, and my children. So.
Love that. We really do love our students. It's
We do
ridiculous.
love our
They don't know
students.
it. They give us like not great evaluations, like they just write one word like good instead of a sentence. They should write the evaluations because they really do help.
Can I just take a point of privilege? I wouldn't be here if it were not for probably two people, Constance Penley right here.
Connie.
We love her. Thank you for seeing me. And then Chris Jenkins. But I was willing to apply and they were willing to hire me. So that's how I got here, and I'm not as shy. I'm still shy about certain things. But.
We are so lucky to have you. Yolanda?
So I've never been shy. Ever.
Wow.
No, I have not. And I'm assertive. And I have to attribute that to just my upbringing, my family. As a child, I mean, I was a lot. And then I had to channel that energy. So I credit my family, my performing arts background, a place called Freedom Theater in Philadelphia, Clark Atlanta University, the historically black college and university, where I received my undergraduate degree, whose motto is to find a way or make one. And I have been doing that before I even knew what it meant, or I've been doing that my whole entire life. I've never been afraid to ask for anything I wanted. It's funny because my siblings say, well, you went to Freedom Theater and you did, well, because I asked. Did you ever ask? Like, ask and you shall receive, right? Knock and the door will be open. If you don't ask, you won't get. So I believe in asking. And then when I went to Ford Motor Company, we always talk about corporate America, but Ford, it helped shape me into this woman that I am today in terms of exposure, the qualities of life, luxury, wanting to go to the Cannes Film Festival. It kind of instilled that in me. And then I have a cousin who's a mentor. Got to shout her out since I'm doing it, Antoinette Barksdale. She showed me how to move and shake, how to go somewhere and not have a ticket, say DNC 2008. Meet me in Denver, okay, cousin, and we got tickets to get into the Democratic National Convention. So it's all of those things that have impacted my life that helped me just keep going. And then when I started at Ford Motor Company, I was teaching. I taught 8th grade French for 4 years in Baltimore City through Teach for America. And I was teaching in a black school in a black neighborhood with a black principal who I loved, who I would go head to head with, arguing about who's coming in my class and not. But when I got to Ford and I started feeling inadequate, he said, do not allow those people to make you feel less than what you are. You come from good stock. And no matter what they say, you are excellent. His name is Dr. Andre Bunley. And those things like help me to just keep going no matter how I feel. Whenever I'm feeling down, like I said, I feel insecure sometimes. I feel inadequate. I feel unworthy. I feel all the things that everyone else feels, but it's the combination of all of those things that I mentioned. And my mother, of course, Ethel Brinkley, I can't forget her. I said family, but I got to give it to my mom. So for me, it's the people who have poured into my life that help me keep going when I want to stop. It's the people who will never, ever go to Cannes, but will give me $100 if I say, hey, I need $100, who will buy a T-shirt from me when I say, hey, I'm raising money to go to Cannes. Those are the people. That's what shapes me. That help. Those are the things that keep me going when I feel like I don't want to go anymore.
Love it. Thank you. You both are so inspiring. I'm just filled up right now and so excited to have had this wonderful night to share with you all. I want to thank you. And will you please help me thank them?